All right, Jamie, thank you so much for the introduction. For those of you that are a little confused with Eimear Hone, Eimear Davis, I decided this week was the week to change my name to my married name, and therefore that's why it's a little different on the screen to Jamie's introduction, so apologies, I am the same person. So today, as Jamie's mentioned, I'm here to talk to you about the 153rd Open and the, I suppose, inclusivity and accessibility practices that were implemented to that event. As you can see here on screen, there's a number of key themes that I'm going to talk to you through. I suppose first and foremost, I want to check, does anyone in the room actually attend the 153rd Open this year in Portrush? TNI's hands are really high in the room right now. Brilliant, thank you. So I suppose some of the elements would be the destination packages. So the RNA are the event organisers of the Open, and I suppose what they have tried to do is commit themselves to being inclusive and being accessible for people in terms of the wider audience. Destination packages themselves was essentially a ticket that was inclusive of travel and accommodation. And I suppose the reason behind this was for those who would typically struggle with traditional booking methods, and this allowed them to get one ticket which had their ticket for the event, their accommodation and their travel all in the one. Secondly, they did a lot of partnerships with various different organisations, those of which are listed on the screen here, which is the European Disabled Golfers Federation, and collaborations with companies like the Mike Burton Group and NTT Data. Essentially, the reason behind this was in order to enhance the promotion for participation, not just for people who were coming along to the event, but also for the players themselves, so that the RNA could learn what they needed to do to implement these practices into their event. Thirdly, looking at investment into the sport itself. So the RNA, as the event organisers, their whole ethos is reinvesting as much money back into the game of golf as they can. And I suppose the reason behind that, again, is to promote that growth internationally from a participation perspective. Supporting golf for disabled players. When looking at this is to ensure that the RNA were promoting fair access and opportunities, both to spectators and to players. And digital transformations. So in terms of the digital transformations, the RNA's aims were to make the game of golf more accessible, but also more appealing by making digital transformations for the fan experience in order to break down those barriers to participation. So I've listed on screen here a number of the actual practices that the RNA had done on course at Royal Portrush. First and foremost being a parent room, so a quiet space available with baby changing facilities, nursing facilities, and a fridge for nursing as well. This was located in the main spectator village and was open to all spectators to use across the course. Secondly, the multi-faith room. This was something that was implemented for the last number of years at the Open Championship, essentially a space for reflection for all religious beliefs. And it achieved really good feedback at this year's event specifically, in that it was used quite heavily, something that they hadn't actually seen in the past, but showed the wide range of people who had attended the Open this year. And the camping village at the Open. So the camping village was conceptualised back in 2016, and this for this year took place at the Ulster University campus in Coleraine. This was essentially brought on board as a more cost-effective option for those wishing to attend the Open and not able to afford perhaps some of the expensive accommodation prices that were available. This was such a huge success this year in that there were 11,500 bed nights in total utilised at the camping village, of which 3,500 of those were given away to those under the age of 25 for free. There was accommodation available at the Open in the camping village for as little as £55 per night. And the camping village itself actually attracted people from 31 different nationalities from across the world as well, so it really was a huge success by making sure they were breaking down that barrier for attendance when it comes to quite often the costs of attending major events. Another priority of both the RNA, Causey Coast and Glens Borough Council and also Tourism Northern Ireland was introducing golf to children and young people and making the sport more accessible. The first initiative is the Road to the Open. So this is an RNA-led initiative with Golf Ireland. This essentially is a programme to educate young people and get them interested in the game of golf, but also careers in golf and what that can entail. It's not just getting on a golf course and swinging a golf club. There are a various range of opportunities that are available for all different types of people. This programme took place with 75 different schools across Northern Ireland, so it was a huge undertaking by the RNA as part of their legacy programme, and it was a 6-week programme whereby they went into different schools, they educated the kids, but what they also did was educate the teachers who are responsible for the curriculum within schools as well. The Kids Go Free initiative was hugely popular this year at the 153rd Open, in that 19,000 Kids Go Free tickets were given away. This was applicable to anyone under the age of 16 wishing to attend the Open with an accompanying adult. And funnily enough, I learnt last week in one of the debrief meetings that the number of complimentary tickets given away for the Open, 19,000, is actually higher than the hospitality covers at the event itself, which I think speaks for itself. Cossey Coast and Glens ran a mini Open series, something similar to that of the RNA and the Road to the Open programme, whereby they focused predominantly around their own council area, and that was a participation and education programme as well with regards to golf. The Epic Journey was a Tourism Northern Ireland initiative that we did run back in 2019, and I suppose for this year it ran in Portrush, Derry, Belfast and Tullamore. The idea behind this was to not only build excitement and civic pride across Northern Ireland and the South, but also to engage school kids and community groups to come along and to enjoy the opportunity to see the Claret Jug, which is the trophy for the Open, in real life. This was attended by numerous different schools from across Northern Ireland, and I will say the queues to take photographs with the Claret Jug itself were exceptionally long, and I will say it was majority adults, men, looking to come along and get a photograph with that Claret Jug. I won't lie. But it was a huge success, and it really did deliver that civic pride piece for us. And the kids' artwork competition mentioned at the bottom, I suppose this was an opportunity that Tourism Northern Ireland conceptualised alongside Northern Ireland for Kids. This was a competition whereby we asked young people from across Northern Ireland to design a poster and what they would feel would encourage tourism across Northern Ireland. People were coming to the Open. How could they welcome the visitors coming here? You'll see at the top left hand of the screen here, there's 2 images that have been displayed. On the left, we have the one with Rory McIlroy and the Harlem Wolf Cranes. And then another one on the right-hand side, I suppose, really demonstrating our holiday destination and other things that you can do. The prizes behind this was for these young kids to see their artwork on billboards across Northern Ireland, and we strategically positioned those winners in their actual hometowns so they could be driving home from school, driving to their auntie and uncle's house and actually seeing their own artwork in that area. So again, something that we wanted to encourage, that for those that aren't interested in golf but want to be part of that huge momentous piece of an event coming to Northern Ireland this year, and it truly did do that. The winner was a girl, Lucia, from Derry. She actually got to meet Rory McIlroy on course and hand over her artwork to them, and it was a huge success online and social media, and also covered by Sky Sports. In terms of the accessibility programme at the Open, there's a number of key things that I want to, address with you today. First and foremost being the accessibility guide. There was an accessibility guide that was made available. This was done pre-Open, so for those that were attending the event and wanted to gain further information, it talked to them about the ticket information. It talked about where the accessible parking was, how they would get from the accessible parking to the course, any assistance that was required on course also, where the medical HQ would be located, the accessibility assistance, people who would be on the actual ground, advice on mobility scooters and wheelchairs. In addition to this, the RNA also prioritised premium experiences by ensuring that these were designed for wheelchair accessible use, all with ramp access and all with lifts, and that applied right through from the single tier structures right through to the triple tier structures as well. There was an accessibility buggy shuttle that was available throughout the course. This ran every 10 to 15 minutes and was a huge part of increasing the accessibility for those attending the event. This allowed people to go and access various parts of the course, and for those of you familiar with a golf course, it is often quite tricky to get around. There's lots of hills to climb, there's a lot of ground to cover. This allowed us and the RNA to ensure that that increased level of accessibility was available for spectators on the ground. In addition to this, the RNA also delivered free carers tickets for anyone who required a carer to come along with them to the Open. This was available through the online platform, and they received 1 free carer ticket to attend the championship also. And finally, the accessibility hub that was located in the main spectator village. There were accessibility stewards that were easily identifiable. They wore orange bibs in and around the golf course, and they were trained to assist people in terms of their accessibility queries on course. Inside the Accessibility Hub, there were things like a sensory zone, which provided a quiet space for those with autism or sensory processing disorders to relax and find a space away from the noise, the hustle and bustle that was ongoing on the course. And this proved really effective, and direct feedback has actually been shared that this was something that was hugely beneficial at this year's event and should continue, in addition to the other structures they would have had in terms of a change in place facility on course too. So I suppose this is my whistle-stop tour to give you an indication of what the 153rd Open delivered in terms of accessibility and inclusivity. Granted, this is a huge event, the biggest event to come to Northern Ireland, but if anyone does have any questions, queries, by all means, please come ask me. Thank you.